Welcome to the Planet Paintball Podcast, the ultimate podcast for paintball enthusiasts. Each week, we dive into the world of paintball, bringing you stories, insights, and tips from players, coaches, and industry insiders. Sponsored by 1023 Sportswear. Looking for high-quality gear that performs as hard as you do? Check out 1023 Sportswear. And as a listener of the Planet Paintball Podcast, you can get 20% off your order with the code PLANETPaintball. Suit up, save big, and play your best.
All right, welcome back to the Planet Paintball Podcast. As always, please give a like and subscribe or review us on Spotify. And check out our sponsors, 1023 Sportswear and Southwest Paintball out in Bayfield, Colorado. Today with me, I got Mikey and William from Wolverine up in Asheville, North Carolina. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, how's it going?
You guys just threw your first tournament in a while. Right.
Definitely. Yes. We did we did the mechanical side of paintball, and we're like, let's do something different. I was like, let's just do it all different. And so that's kind of how we did. I didn't want to go with a 4-man or a 3-man because I always felt like 3-mans went too fast. I didn't want to go with a 5-man because those always took too long. So I was like, let's go in the middle and go with a 4-man. And it seemed to work out it worked out better than I thought it would. It was actually a real fun. It was really fun to even watch.
Yeah. Well, I went up and played it with the old new gen guys.
Yeah.
Which was fun since a lot of them were old sparring partners from back in the day.
Oh, dude, I love those guys. I love the I always call them the Ryan and Jason. Well, Ryan and Jason, but the Matrix guys. They always have matrices and stuff. I'm like, those are the Matrix guys, right? And he's like, yeah, those are those guys. Oh, okay.
Yeah. G-Way Jason has some beauties in the collection for sure.
For sure.
But shout out G-Way Ryan, Steven came up, and of course my boy Andy Vargas. But anyways, before we get into that even more, why don't we talk about how you guys found paintball? Mikey, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to William.
Well, mine's pretty boring, I guess. My way into paintball was my dad got into it. We went basically on a vacation. My cousins were like, hey, Uncle Brady, let's go play paintball. And I still kind of briefly remember the conversation. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And so they all went playing, and basically all came back with, my dad came back with a SL68 and a whippersnapper mask.
Nice.
And I was running around everywhere with that whippersnapper mask on, basically. I was like, dude, this thing's awesome. I love it. And then it just basically went from there. My dad, I can barely remember because I was like 5-6 years old, and basically like he did sound and lighting before he got into paintball. And the story starts as he's like, I was tired of being on the road, and so I just wanted to sit back and relax and do something different. And that's kind of how that all started. And he started basically making a store, and we were playing in the backyard at the house. And when we were playing in the backyard at the house, it was basically just all family. Even my grandma was out there. She was 70 something and shot my dad in the back of the head. She's like, yeah, that's what you get.
Shout out to grandma.
Grandma was badass. That's what grandma was. She
shout out to grandma.
Yeah. She rode horses and grew up strong, and so she could take a hit. But we just started out in the backyard and kind of went from there.
So you got to grow up in paintball.
Oh, dude,
essentially.
My fond memories are just paintball. Like, I don't remember much before it. I went to kindergarten. I knew that I was going to get in trouble, so I didn't tell anybody, but I did get in trouble. But I took a tackle box outside and left it outside. And if you're into paintball, you know what paintballs do if they're left outside. Well, I had them in the tackle box outside, and I was like, nobody's going to know I have them. So I put the tackle box in my backpack and went to school. And I was in kindergarten, and right in the corner was all our backpacks in the reading section, which was carpet. And I was like, hey guys, look at these. And they thought they were bouncy balls and started throwing them on the ground. The whole classroom had paintballs everywhere. I got in so much trouble. I was like, oh yeah, that was fun. The other fun one for me when I was like I said, I got into it really young. And the first time I kind of remember playing a little bit, my dad actually brought this up the other day. He's like, "Don't you remember being in the backyard and the shooting started?" And I was like, "Yeah, those things are whizzing past my head, and I was the other way." He goes, "Yeah, and you got shot in the ass for running away too." I was like, "I did, I did." And I remember that, and he goes, "Yeah, and I also remember what you did too. I went to school. And he shot me in the ass, and it left a good bruise on my ass cheek. And I went to school, and then I came back home, and I was like, yeah, I was like, they took pictures of my bruise and did like all this other stuff." And my dad, I didn't know this until years later. He goes, "Yeah, I actually called the school and made sure like everything was okay." He goes, "The principal didn't know anything that he goes, he didn't even know what I was talking about." He goes, "I like paintball. Why would I have anything against it?" I was like, "Yeah, I guess I was just getting payback." I was just fibbing to get a payback. But that was my first years of paintball was just like I said, I grew up into it. So like after my dad actually like made the store, we started playing in Bent Creek, and then the guy that my dad picked up to help with the field and help us doing at this point in time they're like doing sound and lighting and paintball. And
Wow.
he had a son, and me and him got along real well, and we would all go out to Bent Creek, which is basically like biking area and everything. You couldn't build any structures out there because it was for national forest, but we could go out there and shoot and play. And we started getting like 30 people out at Bent Creek to play paintball. My dad was like selling paint on the side of the road. And so then we started looking for property, and we actually ended up literally right across the street. 90, I think it was like 98. Yeah, it was about 97,
Okay.
98 when he actually started running the field. And we used to basically stay at the field on the weekends. I mean, I can remember times during the summer that we went home maybe just to mow the grass. We literally lived at the field. It was great. My childhood was goofing off, shooting people, and hanging out with people that were older. And then, yeah, my first gun was actually a Thundercat. It wasn't a green one. That's actually a Wolverine edition one. There's like 20. If you know anybody that has one of those, I'll be happy to take it back. There's 25 of those made. But yeah,
Oh,
I had this guy right here, which was a just a little Thundercat. I got it on Christmas morning. It was the first gun that was actually mine. I wasn't allowed to have a semi-auto gun when I was really little because all that I would do is just shoot
mhm.
everything. I'd walk out of the woods and like, watch this. Dad's like, those things aren't cheap.
Yeah.
But
Especially back then.
especially back then. So once he got the field going, he actually got me a semi-auto and went out there and played with that. And then I was like, I need something more. And well, then I ended up with actually this gun here. Well, it wasn't exactly that one, but it was an auto mag. It was heavy. And I ended up with an auto mag, and then I was like, well, I want something more. And then I ended up with a Bushmaster. Like I said, that's a one of two, and that one there was my sister's. Uh, that was basically my pride and joy until about 2004. Yeah, about 2004, 2005 when the Ion came out. I don't want to talk about
Oh,
that gun that I
yeah.
had. I was like, eh. But
Yeah, those ions were super customizable and could
oh,
rip.
they were super customizable. You could basically make the gun not even look like an ion anymore. I actually knew somebody that
Yeah.
literally just went online and just bought parts and built a gun. And I was like, "Are you sure that's not a shocker?" He's like, "No, man, it's an ion." I'm like, okay. But yeah, that's like I said, my story for getting into paintball is just I grew up into it. So I don't have like the I went to a field and played. No, I've lived at the field. So, but yeah, for me, it was more about like, it's like my memories are more about guns. I can remember more parts of like when I got a gun than I can remember anything else. So,
That's awesome.
yeah, don't forget.
Well, what about you, William? How did you find it?
Well, I had a friend named Ralph Campbell that he started playing paintball back in '99 and invited me over to it, and I started playing in a guy named John Morell's backyard.
Okay.
Yeah, we started playing in his backyard over there in Weaverville, and I started playing for a while and moved on to started playing over at Line of Fire. Played till about 2002 or so, and then I ended up actually taking about a 10-year hiatus. Back then, it was always famous, the Line of Fire Wolverine rivalry or whatever it's worth. So I actually never given Wolverine a try or anything. And back 2012 or so, I had a cousin, probably about 13 or so at the time, and some friends were coming out to play paintball, and I decided to come back out with them, and I ended up playing and kind of falling back in love with it and everything. And started just hanging around and start playing more. And come January 2018, hey, you want to rep? Yeah, so I came out and started repping, and I just basically stayed here. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the long story, the sordid history.
That's great.
My first gun, first gun I ever played with was a Model 98. It was 1999. I was 15 years old. Had a rental 98. And got my first.
Hey, the classic.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
still the workhorse.
Oh, yeah.
So paintball world. And I got my first gun, which was a Spider Compact 2000. 15 years old.
That was my first real paintball gun.
And then had a Spider Shutter and a PGP.
Nice.
I actually had a PGP, and a guy goes, "I challenge you. I want to go against you." And I was like, "All right." It was 2000. It was when they re-released the PGP. I didn't get the first one, but I got a second one. I got a second edition.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, "I want to challenge you." And I was like, "Okay, I haven't used this yet. I want to play with it." And the guy was like, "We'll go out on the speedball field one-on-one." And we had if you know speedball, you had the X, and at that point in time, you had the giant X, and the dude runs up to it. And I was like, and I ran all the way around the other side of it and came up behind him. He was like, "Patain, I only shot one ball." He's like, "Yeah, I'm done." I was like, "My bad." He was so mad. I used to love those PGPs.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's funny when people challenge you and you get them with the one ball.
They don't
They
like
don't like that.
They don't like it. I actually got to play on this. I haven't played on this field until yesterday. I got to play on this field, and I did the same thing to another kid. I was like, we were out there. So I work 2 jobs, and I work here I work here and I work another place part-time. And I was like, "Hey, you guys all want to go play paintball?" So we all came out and played, and one of the dudes brought his son, and I did the same thing and ran around him. I was like, and he's like, "Oh God, I'm done." I was like, "I didn't want to shoot you, but I wanted to scare you." But yeah,
That was funny.
but yeah, it's the whole. It's about the guns. It's always about the guns.
So have you guys seen like a revival up there? Like a lot of people around the country are saying there's been a paintball revival. Are you guys seeing more people come out and play, or old players come back?
Yeah, I would have to say, in the last year or so, things have kind of been picking up. Well, I can say that, but when
Recovery since Helene. But
well, yeah, I was like, we're picking
Yeah.
back up until that storm hit and just like chopped the head off of everything. And now it's getting spring and almost summertime, and I'm seeing a lot more people having their own equipment now. It used to be back in the early 2000s, 99, 98, 2000, 2001, you had a lot of regular players. The field was more packed with regular players that had their own equipment at that point in time than there ever was. And then in 2000, I want to say even from 2004-ish or so, there's kind of a gap there a little bit for me, but basically from 2004-ish to 2006, things were starting to kind of level off. I started seeing a little bit more of your birthday party, your bachelor party, your church groups, and kind of that ordeal kind of kicking in. And we started taking advantage of the camp groups and stuff, especially when we were across the street. We used to just basically pack up the whole airball field, and we'd go to a camp. We'd just basically go set up at a camp and run the paintball there. But in 2000, as we all know, the 2007, 2008, when things started going back downhill, that's when we started have to basically kind of downsize ourselves even, especially it was really starting to be hard to pick back up. And even 2009 and 2010, we used to be, like I said, people don't understand. They're like, "What do you mean across the street? My driveway that you pull into here faces the driveway that we used to be at. It's literally right across the street." And we used to be there And we had to downsize because, well, things were getting too expensive. And we're like, all right, we're going to have to just figure it out. And luckily, we moved. The people that owned this at that point in time were like, you guys have something cool going on. We have like the mini golf and the batting cages and the driving range. Would you guys want to throw all that together? We're like, sure. So we moved behind everything and moved over here. And there for a little while, we actually had like a little a package deal where you could play paintball, do mini golf, and do batting cages or something else. And that didn't last long because it was kind of weird about the things that we had to do. But that's besides the point. It worked out.
Yeah.
We started getting more birthday parties and stuff, and moms would basically leave the adult kids over here to play paintball and take the little kid over here to do mini golf or batting cage.
Putt.
Yeah, they had plenty of other options here, and that's what kind of saved us a little bit and kind of brought things back up. And now, like I said, there for a while, I would want to say basically, yeah, there for a while, you did not have a lot of regular players. You had more of your rental equipment than you had people going out playing. Now I'm kind of seeing it where it evens out. We had basically, it was a slow Sunday for us, but we had basically like 15 plus rentals go out. Well, we'll say about 20 rentals. And we also had 20 regulars. And we're like, wow, we didn't used to have that, basically that going on at the same time. It was either one or the other. So yeah, I see things kind of picking back up a little bit. Like I said, Helene hurt us real bad.
Yeah.
During the winter, basically it hit right in fall, and then we had to close down during that. And then
you guys were flooded. Like
We were out here.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
this whole
I was watching a YouTube video, Burn Peak. He's a local like mountain biking guy.
Yeah.
And he drove by the field, and I was like, I knew Wolverine was right there. And I was like, it's up to the highway. And for those that don't know, you guys are kind of sunk down a little bit.
Yeah.
So it was like 20, 30 feet where the field was.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you guys have done a great job, like cleaning it up. The place looks fantastic.
Thank you. I mean, we have been, since Helene has happened, me and him have been here. I'm not going to lie. We've had a lot of help. A lot of people, a lot of regulars have come out and helped and kind of like helped us even make the hyperball field. I've rearranged it since the first time we set it up, but they even helped us like make that and clean the woods field. A lot of our regulars came out and helped and got us back up to where we actually did like a soft opening for everybody. They saw the hyperball field getting together and they're like, we want to play on it. I was like, I do too. Don't worry. And so we did like a little soft opening, but it took us, I want to say, from when Helene happened to when we did that soft opening, it took us about exactly a month, I would say. It was about a month. We knew we had to book up and like kind of get our butts in line and get out here and get everything cleaned up because this is our livelihood. This is, and we were closed for that whole month, and we were basically closed for almost a month and a half, basically.
First official day back.
Yeah.
The weekend after Thanksgiving.
Yep. I was
okay.
Like,
so
it was, but we've been booking. But yeah, I came out here that morning. I got here at, I think I called him at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I was like, dude, the airball field's underwater. I was like, oh my God. And then he goes, what about the guns? I was like, no, I didn't even think of that. I was like, my equipment was here. His equipment was here. We had guns here that we had to work on, and I literally opened these doors. Right now we're inside kind of like the little store area that we have, and I open these doors and things are floating. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm just closing it. I was like, and I just got in here and got it. I got what I could out. My gear bag actually happened to be in the paint shed underneath a bunch of stuff, and so it just was sunk. Luckily, I mean, these guns here were basically flood damaged, and I got I don't know. Luckily, I didn't have a battery in this 3.5 because it would have been dead.
Oh, so did it survive?
It survived. It's still alive.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, dude, this gun here didn't have a battery in it. This gun here, I think the battery was dead. I was like, oh my God. I was like, we were so screwed. He had a Lux here. That thing is still on my kitchen table, actually, so it's all apart. There's a shocker here. There was a bunch of guns here that were like,
You go 11, you go 8.
yeah.
Oh.
And
Some classics.
there was we always kept a couple of our guns down here just to kind of like show them off, so that way kids are like I always kept my cocker down there,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "That's an auto cocker." They're like, "Dude, this thing looks amazing," and I'm always like, "Yeah, well, I built it." They're like, "What do you mean you built it?" I was like, "An auto cocker is like the RC of paintball. You can build it. It's like you
Yeah.
can do what you want with it."
Yeah, they don't make them like that. Well, I mean, they make autocockers still,
Well, they
but
still
they
do,
don't
but
make the normal guns like that anymore, where
no,
like you can
no.
really build it out.
Yeah.
Take us through the wall for a little bit.
Okay.
Like you got some really nice pieces. We've talked a little bit about them,
Well,
but you got some unique ones.
so, well, I'll start out with this guy right here. Like I said, I built this guy. This is a Inception's Ripper. I always wanted one, and I happened to be searching online, and somebody posted just the body, and they posted it for like $300, and I was like, mine. I was like, I don't know if you know what you have, but I'm taking it. And I got the body, and then just kind of like slowly pieced it all together. I used to make grips. I don't know if you can see those or not, but I used to make grips.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
Cool.
I made some grips to match it and kind of fit on it. That has people are always, if you know autocockers, there's I don't know if you can see them, but there's these little doodads right here. I know they're useless. They're QEVs. I just put them on there
Yeah.
because it looked good. But yeah, that guy I built. This guy here was my 3.5. I played when I got that. I was playing tournaments with it. That was back in 2000. I think those came out in 2014 or so. I can't really 100% remember, but
I don't know if you remember, but we played against each other in a CFOA. I think you were on the Gremlins at the time.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And we played each other in the prelims, and I think I got the best of you. And then we met right after the prelims, and you got the best of me. So I remember that gun.
Oh, good. I love that gun. Somebody goes, I used to have a kid that worked for me, and he goes, I'll buy that gun right now. I was like, dude, that gun's going to die with me. I was like, that's going to my grave. This gun here was actually, it was a buddy of mine. It was Dan Rice, a kid that I grew up with, and he had it. And I was like, dude, I want that gun. Like I bugged him for years about it. And I was like, I want that gun. I was like, I have the matching one. I want it. And he finally sold it to me.
Nice.
But this gun here is my pride and joy. Like I said, this is my Bushmaster. My dad got it for me. He actually, he got a hold of ICD and was like, my son wants a splashed gun. They used to make, it was an Alley Cat, it was black and green with the splash all over it. And I was like, I love it. I was like, I want that. And I was like, but I was like, obviously I started out with the Thundercat, but I was like, I don't want to go to an Alley Cat. It's the same thing. I was like, but I want something that was electronic. And he got a hold of ICD, and they made 2 runs of these. And I don't know where the other one's at, but I know where mine's at. Over the years, I've got it going again. I don't know if it works now because I had to replace the solenoid in it. Somebody a long time ago brought me a gun that was completely messed up, and I was like, I'll give you $20 for it, because all that I wanted was a solenoid for it from it. And this one here is my sister's. This gun here is actually a lost and found. So my sister had it. She sold it off. She actually sold it to this dude's dad, and then he sold it. And I never knew where it went. I always searched on, every now and again, I'd search on Craigslist for Bushmaster. Of course, other kinds of Bushmasters are popping up. I was like,
Yeah.
I kept on searching for Bushmasters. And me and him are out here one day, and
Guy calling up.
yeah, the guy just calls up and goes, I have 30 guns. Well, it wasn't that many. It was about 20. It was about 20 guns.
He was just he didn't even know what they were. He was trying to describe them on the phone.
Yeah, and he's like, I have a list of guns. And he goes, well, write down what you got and bring it out. And so he did. He wrote down what he had. And he's like,
Still couldn't
understand what he had. And we're like, fine, just bring it all out. He brought out, like I said, about 20 guns. And he came out here. He laid them all out on the table. And I was like, dude, how did you get a hold of all these guns? And in the middle of this pile is this gun here. And I was like, I didn't want to start jumping up and down. So I was like, wait a minute, that's it. I sent a picture to my dad and I was like, is this Randy's gun? And he goes, yeah, but it's missing the barrel. And I was like, just to double check, I sent the picture to my sister and I was like, is this your old gun? And she's like, yeah. I was like, it's like, all right, well, damn. I was like, okay. And I was like, how did you come by all these guns? He goes, well, my buddy, just passed away. He like died on a bike accident or something. I can't really 100% remember, but he had a pretty bad accident and ended up passing away. And I was like, well, I was like, out of everything here, I was like, I give you this much for everything. Basically I basically got a hell of a deal on everything. There was a J2 Cocker there. There was a, he has it. It was a, golly, why can't I remember Matrix for some reason? But there was a silver Matrix there. He has that. There was a nasty shocker there. I still have that. That's actually at the house. It's pretty blue.
Nice.
I didn't bring it with me. I was going to. I saw it there and I was like, nah. I was like, I don't want the shock. I don't want to bring the nasty. He had a bunch of other guns.
ProMaster.
Yeah, he had a ProMaster. He had that Oracle. There's an Oracle down there in the box. It got flooded. There was a couple other guns, but out of everything that was sitting there, I was like, I would have gave him almost $900 just for that gun. I was like, just give me that gun. I was like, that's all I want out of everything here. I was like, just that gun. And so I ended up getting it, and I sold everything else off, made my money back, and then just kept that. I was like, that's a family heirloom. I was like, I got it back.
No, that's a cool story.
Yeah. I was like, I finally got it back. But this gun here, this is an autococker. Oh, sorry, automag. God almighty. I actually played a tournament with this automag. It was me, Chris Kent, and another guy named Jordan. And Toby over at Line of Fire would run. It was old school mechanical. And me, I had this, and the other two guys had autocockers. And basically at the home, there was a lay down can at the home, and this gun here, I had the trigger set just where I could sit there and just bounce it. It's not an RT, but I could just and rip it. And they're like, how the hell is this guy just sitting here just like shooting down the range? And nobody, literally, I was just like, and just letting it rip. This gun has always shot really well. My first automag was just a regular automag. It wasn't all like this. And when I had that automag, we were playing at Command Decisions. It wasn't called Command Decisions at that time. I can't remember what it was called, but we were at Command Decisions.
What was it before that?
You probably know what I'm talking about because I know John, and he'd be like right away.
Yeah.
But we were over there, and what they would do is scenario team versus scenario team. And we actually have them back there in the back. They got, they got flooded. But there's trophies that sit about this high. And on those trophies, it says Wolverine, 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 Wolverine. And then there's one other team. And then it goes back to Wolverine. And we owned that field. And there was a team out there, and all of them had automags. And there was a guy in a tower. I don't even know why he was in the tower, but literally my dad goes, all Wolverines attack this base. Well, I was like 10 years old, and he gave us a radio. I was like, oh, I got a radio. But he gave us a radio and told us to basically, me and Dan, since we're the youngest ones, he's like, just sit in this base all day. And as you probably know, if you've been there, it's actually Hamburger Hill. It's that base that wouldn't, what was the Apache? Yeah, Apache.
Yeah.
I would have to sit in that base all day. And that's one point, he goes, all Wolverines attack this base. And I was like, oh, we get to get out of here. We're going to go do something. And I had my automag lugging it around. It had a stainless steel barrel. It was heavy as hell. And so we end up attacking this base, and there's a guy in this tower, and he is all lit to shit. And he goes, automags rule. I was like, obviously not. You suck. I got to get rid of this. And that's how I basically ended up with that. Oh yeah, this guy here, I made these grips too. These have gears in them.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is nice.
I need to get back into doing it. A lot of people still message me and go, hey, do you still do grips? And I'm like, not yet. I got to get a shop going. But I picked that up My dad actually built that. He had a bunch of spare parts laying around, and that's how I ended up with the Planet Eclipse body on it and everything. That was before Planet
Okay.
Eclipse actually made guns. They just did the
Yeah,
anodizing
they
part.
just did the upgrades to
Yep,
everything.
yep. And so he had a bunch of spare parts laying around, and I worked my ass off to get that gun. I was like, I want that gun. I was like, so now I kept it and played one tournament with it. But yeah, my other gun that basically the other gun that I have is this guy here, the LV. This gun came with the orange parts on it, and I took them off and made the Hunter. I was like, yeah, I like that.
Okay.
But this gun here, I played with it 2 years ago. We did basically Wolverine team D5 2 years ago, and I played tournament with this gun. Now this gun
Nice.
here is a bunch of parts. The frame is actually like a 1.5 frame. Obviously, the 1.5 and the 1.6 ASA is the same. And basically, I had a bunch of extra parts laying around and kind of built this gun. It's going to end up with a LV2 solenoid in it when he gets the thing that I want to get in it. So
Okay.
the LV2 solenoid and the LV1 is the same solenoid. The only thing that they did is they made the manifold a little bit longer for the LV2. Or was it the LV?
1.6 and they used the same manifold, but yeah.
No, it was, sorry, those two used the same manifold. The LVs 5 and earlier have a little bit shorter manifold. Or no, a little bit longer manifold.
It's just one screw location.
Yeah, basically one screw difference. And I've already tested this and seen if it works. And I have another LV at home that needs a solenoid. So I'm going to rob the solenoid out of this and throw it in that and throw an LV2 solenoid in this when I get the manifold made that I need to get made. Yeah, the flood kind of ruined our little projects that we had. So,
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but yeah. And this gun here, well, obviously it's just everybody knows a sniper. The only funny thing about this gun is my resurrection parts on it. So A&S did a Black Friday deal on their resurrections and their snipers. And so basically I ended up getting a resurrection and a sniper for the same price as the resurrection would be. And
Nice.
so I got a green one, the green and black acid wash. He was going to get a purple one. And our plan is to make a purple and green acid wash resurrection.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Oh,
yeah.
it would have looked bad. It would have looked just awesome. And well, he gets his in and he goes, it's pink. I was like, well, I'm not taking pink, bro. And he's like, so he sent it back. And I swear to God, they sent right back the same gun. I was like, it's pink again. I was like, I guess they're not swapping parts. And then I ended up just throwing the resurrection parts on this, and I was like, I actually like that better. And I took a old school. Let me see if you know what this is. Can you see that gauge?
I can't see it well. Is that a Diablo gauge?
No.
Is that what I'm saying? No. Oh, that's an Intimidator. Right? Yeah. That's a Bob Long one.
Yeah. That's just one of those little hidden things that I threw on that. I was like, if you know what that is, then you know what you're doing.
Yeah, Bob Long Ironman eyes right there.
Yep. That's basically.
That's kind of. And
that's, like I said, that gun there. John did like a run of 25 of those. We've had 2 of them come back.
Well,
We've had 2.
Yeah. I mean, that one.
Okay, out of 25.
Yeah, 2 out of 25.
I've been trying to find Jacob Plackett over at Splat Forest has one. He won't sell to me, but
okay.
Yeah, I found that one on eBay, and there's another one over here that a guy just walked in with it one day. I'm like, I'll buy it.
That's kind of how we end up with half of our stuff.
Yeah, now I have 2 of those. And as for guns on wall, that one is not actually ours. That's one of our friend Brian's.
Well,
yeah,
we can't mention that one.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
If you're watching, that's not Brian's. He stores it here, so she doesn't know about it.
Okay.
Like that actually,
You keep this for me.
Yeah, basically.
That one actually happened to be at my house when the flood hit. It was saved.
That one stressed me out more than anything.
He's like calling me. I'm like, dude, it's in my living room right now.
I was like, good. It was a good.
Yeah, as for my stuff on here, I mean, we have got the Thundercats. I've been trying to collect all of our green ones back. I spend a lot of time on M. Carter Brown and everything. So, I mean, we've got This one was built by a guy on Edgar Brown, goes by Lieutenant Headshot. He calls it the Relic. Basically,
Okay.
it's got like all kinds of ruins and stuff in it and everything. It's supposed to look like it's carved out of rock.
Yeah, I can see a little bit of the detail. That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, I picked that up from there. There was a another member on there, KO Beastly, he called himself, was converting in some B2Ks into pumps, and I was like, it's weird. I had to have it.
Yeah, I mean that's wild that they've put that into a pump.
Oh, dude,
It shoots great.
it does.
It
It shoots
Does
really
it?
good. Oh yeah, it shoots really good.
It shoots really great.
I got an old gold one downstairs. I might need to see if I can get it converted. That'd be fun to have.
That would be fun to have.
Another MCV one was an old Rainmaker that a guy in Canada named Jordan. He converts it over to a mechanical, so it's all mechanical. Of course, Rainmakers are already loud, so why not make it worse?
That's why I was like,
This thing will make your ears ring if you fire it indoors.
so we play night games here, and when we
Night
do night games, we do it mechanical only, either pump,
Okay.
pump or mechanical. And I usually would go out there with an SL68 because that was like, I don't know why I've always loved my old SLs. I'll go out there and run those things into the ground, and people are like, "Why are you still using that thing?" But it's a tank.
And I go out there with the least reliable thing I can think of, which is that Titman C3 another time. Flamed in the dark.
Down on that C3, you could see him on the other side of it. That was a flame. But,
That's the propane one, right?
yeah, that's the propane one.
The
Yeah.
Timid C3. Yeah. We
He
had one
goes-
of those down at Planet.
He's like, you should play with it, but don't mind the jolt every now and again. I was like, no, I ain't playing with it then. I don't want to get shot on.
Sometimes the ground pounded.
I was like, I'm not doing that. I wish I had, there's a gun here that I do wish I had here, and it's actually my dad's cap cocker.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's a bead blast cap cocker. That thing is absolutely beautiful. I put all I was looking at this Palmer,
Stuff
and I put all Palmer parts
Oh,
on
nice.
it, and it shoots. When it shoots good because it's a heavy gun, so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, on to the Palmers. Yeah, I got Palmer's Pyre up here.
Okay.
06.
Wow.
06.
That's an early one.
Yeah, one of my other favorites to play with when we're playing pumps and stuff. Actually, it's a really good reliable. And then the little mini stroker. The little mini stroker. That
Nice.
thing's wicked. It's cool because I mean it's just it's a pistol basically.
Yeah.
It's semi-auto.
We like to have pumps and do stuff. I always like I said, I always like to do things that are quirky and unnormal. And one of the things, like I said, when we do those night games, like I said, it's pumps and mechanicals only. And when he had that thing out there, it seems like we always end up playing against each other. And he had that thing out there, and I was like, Will's over there. He's over there. I was like, that thing's loud as hell. And it's funny because, like I said, I'll use my SL68 pumps, and they're like, well, Mikey's over there. We know where he's at. Yeah, you start knowing the sound of people's guns more than you know where they are. And you knew where John was because John always had a freaking just
Pro carbine.
he had his pro carbine. I don't even know where it's at in here, but he always had the pro carbine. And I'll never forget this. We used to do a game like on the speedball field running to the woods field, and we called it domination. And what your goal was is to basically infiltrate the woods field. And once you basically get a spot on the woods field, there was flag spots, and you could basically once you got that spot, you could basically rejuve right back at that spot. And this game starts, and I'm running up to basically where the base is on the back side of the hyperball field now. And I hear him out in the woods. Who the hell's got a semi-auto? Oh wait, that's John.
Who has an electric?
Yeah, who has electric?
I'm John.
Oh wait, that's John. Like that dude, he can rip a semi too quick. And that's what he used to play with, was actually an Angel, just a single trigger Angel, and that thing would freaking rip. I was like, dude, what? But yeah, I always, like I said, I was just like doing weird, quirky things on the field.
But you can't forget my favorite night game story with John.
Which one?
The one where we just started the game.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know. I'm off on a trail off to the side. You and him are going down the main trail. And I hear a click-clack, and I'm like, there's an SL68. And I hear a shot, and I hear John yell out. He gets so angry because it's only about 30 seconds into the game.
Wasn't even that.
He gets so angry, and he's over there all pissed off, and he's yelling at you and everything.
So yeah, down in the woods field, the main path, the main walking path is really open. And I was like, it's dark. Nobody's gonna see me. So I just haul ass down the main path down the woods field. And I hear this freaking Bigfoot coming through there. I was like, ding, shot him. He's like, you cheated. I don't even believe that you started there. He's like, you started. I was like, little tiny tree. I was like, dude, I was like, I hauled ass down that field. He was like, no, you started there. You cheated.
And then he finally yells over to me to come around and shoot. And so I was playing with a hammer 7 at that time, so I couldn't exactly see you.
Oh, dude,
because you were behind a dark, like a black bunker in the dark. So I was just like, whatever, just keep shooting.
Dude, he shot the shit out of me.
I did.
I'll still never forget that. Like, whoops.
Well, take me through what fields you guys have open at Wolverine right now. Like, what type of fields?
Right now we have the hyperball field, like when we did the tournament on. I'm using that field as basically for rec ball players. My tournament ball players are just dealing with it right now.
Some of them love it.
Some of them love it. Everybody seemed to have a really good time on that field, and that really makes me happy. But we have the hyperball field. We have what we call the base. I like to basically call our field the Swiss Army knife of the fields. And what I mean by this is that I can basically run 4 different games on the same field, but use it in different ways. I can use the speedball or the hyperball field as a regular hyperball field, or I can use it as a attack and defend kind of thing. On the end of the hyperball field, we have this giant wall. I call it the zombie base. I have this giant wall, and one team, basically it's not a team, it's everybody, will start behind that base, except for a few players, which will actually start on the other side of the hyperball field, and they're my starting out zombies. And usually, I love it because a lot of guys will be like, oh, hey, can we shoot the bachelor? Or, hey, can we shoot the birthday boy? Or, hey, can we shoot our boss? And I'm like, we'll get to it. And what I'll do is I'll like explain the game, and I'll be like, all right, guys, so who is the birthday, who is the bachelor, and who is the head guy here? And they're like, point them all out. And I'm like, you guys take a walk, have fun. Okay, bye. See you later. And I'll use those guys to kind of start out the zombie base game. If I have like some regulars here, I'll send like 1 or 2 down with them, just so that way it kind of helps get them going. But we'll use that as a zombie-based game, and we can use that as, like I said, the domination game where you literally infiltrate the woods field. We have a good-sized woods field right now. It's more open than it was. After the flood happened, there was so many trees down, so much going on. Literally, we had to take the tractor. I'm not supposed to do it. That tractor's not a bulldozer. But we would take the tractor out there, and I had to just like push trees out of the way, and we had to basically
lots of
bonfires. We were out there,
I'm sure,
days just like piling things up, burning things, and we got the woods field so far open, way more open than what it was. It's actually, I'm pretty happy with it right now. It's actually poofing back up. Like, since there used to be a lot of vines out there and a lot of things hanging in the trees and kind of like covering the light, and now things are kind of coming back out. They're kind of poofing back up, which is making me happy. Our speedball field right now, unfortunately, I didn't save everything. A lot of them, when the flood happened, a lot of our bunkers said K-bye and went through the woods field, got stabbed by trees and whatever else.
Yeah.
And I saved what I could. I literally did. I got out there and was underwater, like here, trying to pull a giant brick out of the woods. I'm like, you're coming with me.
While talking on the phone.
Yeah, I had him on the phone. He's like, why are you talking to me in the water? I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to.
I couldn't even leave.
Yeah,
no way for me to.
He couldn't even get out of his house. He couldn't even get out for a week. But
wow.
So I saved what I could. Right now, what's left of the speedball field is part of our woods field right now. I call it the open woods field. I'm like, yeah, you can go out over there. A lot of people think that it's its own field because they're bright colored bunkers, and like, that's its own thing. I'm like, no, you can go over there. So I took what we had left and kind of like incorporated that with our woods field that we have. The thing is like all of our plastic pipe that was out there that's on the hyperball field now actually used to be in our woods field and out in that open field. And so one of my plans has always been, I didn't tell John this, but that's besides the point. One of my plans was always to make a hyperball field. I always wanted to make a hyperball field. And I was like, well, mechanical ball's coming back. I was like, and these guys they want that old school hyperball feeling. And I was like, I really wanted to make this field happen. And I was like, well, guess what? I was like, we just got flooded. This plan was going on in my head way before the flood even happened. And I was like, well, I got to figure out what I got left. I got to figure out if I have what I got going on. I got to figure out where things went. And so we pulled everything out of the woods and actually brought it out where our speedball field used to be. And I was like, well,
After we found it
all, we had to go, we were literally going down the river and other people's property finding our bunkers. I was like, oh my God.
We also gained one.
We actually gained one.
We needed one more piece.
We needed one more piece for a bunker. And I was mapping it out in my head and kind of being like, okay, so we're going to do this, this, and this. Like after I got everything out of the woods and kind of figured out what we got, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to kind of map this out. And I was like, we need one more piece. And he's like, dude, there's a piece of pipe up there by the gate that came down in the flood. And it happened to be the exact same size and everything that I needed. I was like, well, I don't know whose it is now, but it's mine. So that now we have the hyperball field. And like I said, I've always done the field setups, like for the airball field and for other things out there. And I've always done the field setups, and it's always been fun for me to do the field setups because I'll come up with some weird design that people are like, why'd you do this? What is the deal here? I've actually put this, I have merged the snake and the Doritos all on one side of the field. It was fun. Everybody's like, dude, this is nuts. Why would you put all the Doritos literally, you know how like most fields will have the Doritos kind of like in a U shape a little bit. They'll start out wide and kind of come out and go back in. Well, I took all the snake beans and kind of like rigged it all up to where it all made on one side, and then took a bunch of other things and put them on the other side and made it all even. And everybody's like, it was funny because a lot of guys were like, I love it. And a lot of guys are like, this is weird. I don't like this. This is nuts. But one of my things is like I said, I always ask everybody, I'm like, do you enjoy the hyperball field? And they're like, this thing is so much fun. This thing is awesome. And I'm like, thank you. I'm like, that to me, that makes me feel good. I'm like, I'm glad that everybody enjoys that layout. They're like, it's very compact. It's easy to move. You can hold in positions. You can move up very quickly. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, I've actually, when we did the tournament, it was kind of funny because when we did the tournament, literally when I posted it, I was like, there's things on this field that I don't like that we need to change. And I would go out there and of course I couldn't move anything by hand. So I'd take the tractor out there and move some things around. And the guys that were practicing on the field layout, they would come out a weekend and they'd be like, is this the field layout? I'm like, I don't know. Hold on. And I would go out there and rearrange it. I would rearrange it again. They're like, is this the field layout? I don't know. Hold on. Let me do something. I rearranged that field about 3 times before we actually played that tournament on it. And they're like, it was funny because the weekend before, they're like, one of the guys that plays out here, he's like, you're not doing anything else, right? I'm like, no, it's good. I'm like, it's staying how it is. And so, and everybody's like, yeah, I love it. And it plays so nice, plays so evenly. But the cool thing is like I've always said, is where that's at, it's flat enough, but it's not flat. And so the next big thing to start working on is actually getting we got new bunkers. Right after the flood, we got new bunkers. We got new net. We got an area that's perfectly flat.
A guy, John Wright, came out and Josh Wright, sorry.
Yeah.
Josh Wright came out and brought his bulldozer out and leveled it out for us.
Flattened it out for us.
Nice.
And the next big project that we're working on right now is actually, that's why we're here at the field today, because we're trying to get some more. We went out and found 30-foot telephone poles for a fair price, and we're trying to get our net up in the next couple of weeks. So that way we can start getting that speedball field going. So then we'll have a speedball
Nice.
field, the hyperball field, the woods field, and where the speedball field, well, I'll call it the open woods field, where our old airball bunkers are, is going to hopefully be a city field that I want to build.
Okay.
That one's going to be fun. Because there's a lot of things that I got to have John come out here and like be like, you can do this, you can't do that. So
Second story.
yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
when I started talking about doing the city field, he's like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, well, my plan is to build these like this and to be able to add a second story on them later on. He's like, no second stories. I do not want any second stories. I was like, but everybody wants the second story. I was like, he's like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, so I got to
I get
figure
it
out.
though, just from an insurance
Oh,
liability
dude, for
issue,
insurance.
you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Like, I
yeah.
get it. I
Oh,
get it.
yeah. He's like, he's definitely like, no. And I'm like, oh, but we got to do like a couple. I was like, we got to do something. I was like, so.
So we did a little side note on that. We built a big city field at Planet, and we went up a story. And it was great, but we had a contractor was Joe's brother at the time, so he was able to like do it.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, after Joe had passed, we found out that we had built the whole field on someone else's land by mistake. So they had to bulldoze it.
Oh, no.
And this was like 4 hyperball fields about,
Oh, wow.
like of your hyperball.
Yeah.
All together, and I was like, oh, and we had the tanks out there and the trenches. Like a lot of time had gone into that field, and just to have it bulldozed broke my heart.
I would be crying. I'd be like, my word.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, I would be crying. I wouldn't even know what to do at that point. Can I just have just let me rent? Give it? Can you? I mean, I already built on it, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that was during like the the financial downturn, so we weren't,
Oh, dude. So yeah, that was
like all paintball fields. We were struggling then, so it was we couldn't be like, well, let us rent it. We were like, well, we don't want to pay you for it, I guess.
Well, yeah.
You just gotta do what you gotta do. Sorry, we built on your land, man.
Right.
Oh yeah, what happened to spotted rights?
Yeah. That wasn't a thing back then. I feel like it definitely should have gone for that.
Right. That's okay. I mean, I kind of have the same problem at my house. I had property next to my house that I've like grown up on. I mean, like literally we used to play paintball on. And so the guy that owned the property just up and sold it, and now it's basically going to have 2 houses on it, and somebody's took all the woods that I used to play in all out and everything, and now it's all opened up. And I'm like, man, I used to build forts up there. Because behind my house is literally like a straight up 45 angle, and that's what we played on. We were literally running up and down that hill. Me, my cousins, my parents. It was like we all got out there. But yeah, that was like I said before we actually got into the field and started actually getting this place going. But yeah, now I know that same feeling. Like, hey man, I used to do stuff over there.
Yeah. Well, so when I lived up in Asheville, we moved out like right before, not the big boom, but one of the booms when a lot of people moved in. And we lived up on this mountain, and it was one street up, nothing else on the mountain. And right before we moved out, someone had bought up the rest of the mountain and was making it into, other neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's all gone. Like I spent hours in those woods, and now it's gone.
Now it's just
So I get it. Yeah.
Damn. So you used to play CFOA. So you played CFOA too.
Yeah. So I've been in and out since 1999 is when I first started playing.
Okay.
And then started playing CFOA, did the local thing for a while. 2001, I think, was probably my first CFOA. They didn't have APA back then.
No, they did not. I mean, it was, yeah.
And then came back in around 14, I think we were trying to remember how long I was in. I had a habit of like coming in and doing 2 to 3 years and then pulling
And then bounce.
away and then
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once
So
your ranking gets up, it's hard to get back down.
yeah, and it was also just like life stuff.
Oh yeah.
But when I initially came back in and they had the APA, I was like, oh, this is great. I can play wherever now.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we did that, and we did CFOAs, and I think that year we ended up going down and doing some GFOA. We did one GFOA, which was X-Ball at the time in the middle of June, and we took 5 guys. Yeah, we died. It was like race to 3 or something, and the first match we like maxed them out, and we're like, oh, we got this. Next match, someone maxed us out, and we're like, yeah, it's still not that bad. And then we got dragged into the deep water of having to run back to back in a back to back game, and we were toast by the end of it. No pit crew. We were doing it all ourselves.
Wow.
I think at some point they cut it down. They used to give you the 2 minutes, and at some point during the tournament, they're like, hey, by the way, you guys only got 1 minute in between points. Like, there's 5 of us. There's no one else.
No. Oh God.
So
I'd have been like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just try to get on the box. I don't know. Whoever makes it, makes it.
Yeah. If we got 5, great.
All right.
We were really lucky. House of Paint, which was a team back then, they kind of stepped in and helped pit crew for us, and then we returned the favor to them. So, but they really needed us to like win against the team we were playing at the time. So I think that's why they stepped in. They're like, hey, we'll help you out, so you can help us out.
Yeah. I kind of had that same situation. It was me, Chris Kent, and it was over at, again, Line of Fire. He did a pump tournament, and it was me and Chris Kent. We both went over there, and we both got into the finals. It was me and him and another dude. This other dude, it was basically like a round robin. This other dude shot me out. I shot Chris Kent out once, and then Chris Kent beat the other guy. And so for Chris to basically get first place, he had to beat me. And I was like, I already got beat basically once. And I was like, so I'm already kind of like either going to get second or third. And I was like, I'd rather have Chris be first. I just was like, they yelled go. And I just held my gun down and ran right at Chris. And he's like, he shot me like twice in the chest. And he's like, the whole time we're walking off, and he's like, why'd you do that? Why'd you give up the game? Why did you do that? I was like, shut up. You just won. He's like, no, you would have won. I was like, no, you just won. And the winning was a Phantom. It was first place was to win a Phantom.
A nice little Phantom pump. Those things were built.
I should have brought it. I actually have it at the house. And he's like, since you gave yourself up, he goes, I'll never use this. He goes, since you gave yourself up, I'm gonna give you the Phantom. And
oh, nice.
He had 2 Phantoms in there. He had an orange one and an all black one. And I was like, go for the root beer. I was like, I want the root beer. And that's what it was called root beer. It's like an orange black acid wash. And I was like, I want that one.
Nice.
And it sits at home. I've only played with that gun about once or twice. I was like, it's so difficult to play with. It is so difficult to play with that stock class.
Yeah, it's got that little like 10-round tube welded onto it.
Yeah. I envy that. There's a couple of guys that come out here and play with them, and I'm like, dude, good luck. I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with that. I'll follow behind them and find like 10-round tubes and 12 grams.
Yeah, those 12 grams or something else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Usually I'm like, guys, put them in since there's usually like drums and stuff out there, and I'm like, just put them in the drum. Like, don't leave them on the field. Just put them in something. I was like, but yeah, I kind of had that same situation where it was like, we need to get these guys to win where we win.
So with the, are you planning on doing more? You talked about the night games. So are you guys going to be running those guys again?
Usually when I do my night games, it's kind of like in the fall. And that
it's darker.
It gets darker early. The trees don't have as much foliage, and I always try to do it closest to a full moon. I think the last time
Okay,
that
so you have the moonlight.
oh, dude, it is so much fun. It is so much fun. Like, I don't allow people to have flashlights. I'm like, no, it's nighttime. Like, no flashlights, no. We used to do glow sticks as teams, and
Okay.
where we stopped using glow sticks is because of me, and that was, we used to do a game in a corn maze, and that's how kind of the night games
Wow.
kind of got started. It was way back in the day. We would do the Corn Maiden Madness basically, and we would do Nightball in the Corn Maze. And one of the games that we would do is that you had to go capture pumpkins, and the pumpkins had glow sticks in them so that you could see them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, if you've ever been to a corn maze, they usually have a deck. It's called the overlook, and they kind of like it's a deck that goes above the corn. And you kind of see the pathways and the designs and everything, kind of see over top of the corn. Well, those buckets were on top of that overlook, and I shoved my glow stick in my mask right here. I stuck it up in my mask, and I was like, I don't want them to see me. I was like, nobody said I couldn't have it hidden. And so I stuck it up in my mask, and I literally like crawled all the way up the stairs, and I started just chucking pumpkins off to the left, off to my side. And my dad, I was playing against him, and he ends up shooting me, and I stand up and he goes, now get the damn glow stick out of your mouth. I was like, it wasn't in my mouth. It's like, you cheating little bastard. I was like, I didn't cheat. I just stuck it in my mask. I thought you could still see through the grill. But that's kind of how the night game started. And I stopped using glow sticks because I was like, if we're going to play at night, you're going to be running around shooting your own team. You shoot everybody. Everybody gets shot.
Yeah. Part of the fun's the chaos.
Oh, the fun is the chaos. And when I do a night game, we still do that pumpkin game. And basically it's just capture the pumpkins. Now, well, I'll get into that. We still do it out here on rec ball days, but my pumpkins that I had, my Halloween pumpkins that I had went down the river.
Yeah.
But I don't know where they came from. We got like 20 buckets. They're like, I guess they're for a gem mine kind of ordeal, like where they fill them up with gem mines and stuff.
Yeah, one of the gem mine operations up
Yeah,
there.
and so I was like, well, I don't know who got my buckets or my pumpkins, but I got their buckets. And so we use those on the field now as the pumpkins. When Halloween comes back around, I got to get more buckets or pumpkins. I keep doing that. I'll be out there explaining the game. I'm like, all right, guys, you got to come over here and capture the pumpkins. And like, they're buckets. I mean, hold on. Sorry. I was like, but we still do the night games. Like I said, I try to get them on a full moon. We try to do them kind of in the fall. The only problem with the fall is like it gets cold. Like if you're out there, like I said, I use an SL68, and I don't know how many fields still do it, but we still use CO2. We still have CO2, and that's because we're like diehard old guys, and we're like, hey, you know what? I got my CO2 tank, and we're gonna screw that on whatever we got and let it go. Over here on the wall, grab that right there, that siphon tube.
You got a siphon tube one?
Dude,
that is old school.
No, I don't just have one. We have the old school siphon kits here still, and
nice.
Not supposed to install them anymore, but I haven't. But we had a guy come in that had a pro light. It was an old school pro light, and I was like, dude, we gotta get this thing working with liquid, because that's what they love. They love that old liquid.
Yeah.
We had to had to do some surgical removings on some tanks. That's what Loctite's good for.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that it is good for.
We haven't done it.
Where there's a will, there's a way with that.
There's a will. I think the last night game that we did was it was right after COVID or so.
So it's 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't done one since. We've been going to Fulda for the past couple.
Yeah, we went to Fulda for the last couple of years, but the last night game that we did, we had probably way too many people. We had way too many people. We had like 30 plus players out there running around.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God. I ended up actually crawling I'm a snake player, so getting down and getting dirty doesn't even bother me. We have a creek on one side of our field that I allow players to get in, and it was like 20
Okay.
degrees at night, and I'm in the creek crawling down the creek to get to the other side. And I finally get to a certain point, and I pop up, and then somebody on my own team shoots me in the ass, and then I'm like, really? And they're like, oh shit, that was Mikey. I was like, yeah, that was I was like, yeah. And then we ended up basically I had to do it all over again. But yeah, they're fun. I hope to do another one this year. I know that I've been talking to him about going to Fulda Gap already. We got to start planning if we are.
Yeah.
We went to Fulda Gap. My first time actually playing Fulda Gap was 2 years ago. Like yeah, well, like I said, we did basically the team games there, but like playing the actual like scenario, my first time actually back at that field since 2000 was 2023. It was like, got on that field and I was like, I don't recognize anything anymore. And then last year, it was kind of funny because last year we actually got there we got there Thursday or Friday, and I actually got to go out there and walk the field. And we went up on Hamburger Hill, and I was like, it like all just kicked in for me, the memories that I had. And I was like, that's that base. That base I had to sit at for hours. And it was funny because we were on Warsaw, and I was like, I had a lot of people that come out here and play, and they're like, Mikey, what are we doing? You're going to be the head honcho here. And what are we doing? I was like, well, honestly, what we're going to do is we're going to push all the way down the tape line, push all the way down this side, and end up getting over here on this hill, which is Hamburger Hill. And we're going to take that hill the first thing in the morning. And that's exactly what we did. We got over there with the special force guys, and they're like, where the hell did you guys even come from? I was like, we've been hauling ass, man. We just got here. They're like, you're not even supposed to be over here. I'm like, well, we're here now. So we ended up getting up Hamburger Hill and taking that hill like first thing in the morning. They didn't even get it back. They ended up just staying at the bottom of the hill all day. It was funny because at the end of the day, I was like, this damn base, I protected it when I was a kid, and I'm still protecting it to this day. I was like, I need to find something better to do. But yeah.
Any more mechanical events?
I do hope to run another mechanical event. I've actually been talking to him about it and talking to John kind of like a day to do it. These guys, my pump enthusiasts, are like, we need to do another pump day, and we will. Like I've done special events like just pumps only, and literally like before the flood happened, the whole speedball field I could stretch out. I could make it like 100. I could have made the field 300 feet long. But the last time that we did a pump day, I made it 200 feet long by 120 wide. That thing was massive. It was stretched out so far. And we had, 15 on 15 pumps? Yeah, something like that. It was so much fun. That was last year or so. Yeah, it was like last summer that we did that. But they're like, we need to do another pump day. So we're planning on doing another pump day here shortly. I think we got to figure out a date. John actually just messaged us back this morning about it. And he was like, you either need to go at what did he say, 7/6 or
it's July 6th, June 29th.
Okay. Nice.
June 29th or
July 6th.
Okay, yeah. So we still got to figure that out.
So if you're into pump, keep an eye out on the Wolverine Facebook page.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those things are so much. I love it. I love getting out there. Like I said, I have the sniper, but honestly, more people have used this gun than I have.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just go out there with my old SL68 and go with that guy. The thing is about that, I'm used to these things here. People have made the pump arms so light that I don't like it. I've actually tried to stiffen them up. And if I start working on like a pump cocker or something, he's like, Mikey, this thing's like, it doesn't need to be a shotgun. I was like, what? Like, I'm used to the SL. I'm like, that thing is a shotgun. What are you talking about? But, so yeah, we're going to plan another pump day. We'll get that going. I want to really do another mechanical day, another mechanical tournament, and probably not too far after that pump day. I know that the C3XL is is 720-ish or something, 723. It's in January.
July.
Yeah.
Or sorry, July. I always do that. But it's in
I can't remember.
yeah, it's like at the end of July. I know that I was
Yeah.
hoping to do that before that, basically. Either before it or after
Cool.
it. So like I said,
Nice.
I still gotta talk to John about a good date.
Okay.
That tournament, like I said, you played the tournament. How'd you like it? Was it
Yeah, I liked it. You know, we ran into the guys who got first and third
yeah. Oh, so
in a
you got
row.
yeah.
So we had a short day. So I would have liked to play at least 2 more games, but I understand how the format it worked and trying something new. But that's really my only complaint about it is I would have liked to play a little bit
more
more.
game.
But I enjoy the mechanical, man, and the more options that we have. I mean, I think the community showed up for it.
Oh, dude, did
So
they? It was kind of awesome. I really enjoyed that day because like everybody out here on that day, either I knew, well, basically I've known growing up. It was like a giant family reunion out here for me. I was like, dude, I haven't seen you guys since this, or there was a guy out here that I haven't seen since 2005. I was like, what are you doing? It's like, yeah, it was
that's
really
awesome.
great. Yeah, it was really, really awesome seeing all the old school players come out and play. I know that was one thing. That's why I was asking. I was like, how'd you like it? And because a lot of people are like, Mikey, why'd we do a double elimination? And I was like, I wanted you to fight. I was like, it's 4-on-4. I was like, you're going to be guns up, heads up. I was like, and I wanted you guys to like really fight for your first place. I was like, the funny thing is like I was like, yeah, you get knocked out of your first one, you go down to your second one, and then end up basically fighting your way back up. And I was like, I really liked how that worked. I know that I made it a race to 2, and I've thought about either keeping the double. John was like, why'd you do that? Of course, he was like, you should have just. Everybody was like, you should have did a round robin. And I was like, dude, if we did a round robin, we would have been out here all day. I was like,
What would have been out there a minute?
oh, we would have been out there all day. And the one thing that I had to beat, and this is what guys don't understand, is like we had to kind of beat the sun because at the end of the day, if we did a round robin and basically everything kept going that way, we would have been out there probably until about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And that right there would have put the sun literally right behind the starting gate on one side. And so I've been out there playing and going, I don't know that guy. Like, and that's one of the reasons why we are moving the speedball field behind the hyperball field.
Gotcha.
Because we can actually
block it.
Well, the hyperball field's going this way, and the speedball field's going to go this way. And so
so
the
rise
sun
and set on a D side.
Yeah, it'll rise and set on. Well, it'll basically go across the field, and you won't have to deal with the blindness until basically like now, which is probably about 8 o'clock. So
okay, nice.
It'll work so much better, and then we can do a little different things. But I really liked how the tournament worked. I thought that was just fun as hell having the double elimination. I was like, this is going to be different. I was like, this is going to either make you like, it's either going to make or break you. I was like, you're going to either fight it out and get your ass going, or you're going to be like some teams that are just going to kind of like, oh, we're here playing.
Yeah, I still got you.
Okay. I know that a lot of guys were like, well, they would say it in kind of a way like, well, we got knocked out early. And I was like, well, I'm sorry. I was like, I was like, I'm sorry that you got knocked out early. I was like, I know you wanted to play more games. But the thing is like, after the tournament was said and done, I was still out there running games at the end of the day.
Yeah. You could jump on and play some more.
Oh, dude, we had so much fun even after the tournament. I was like, even your guys, they were like, well, can we go out there and play in the woods field? I was like, have fun. I was like, just don't shoot this way. I was like, don't shoot back in the tournament though. I was like, to me, I was like, you guys basically came out and rented the field, as I would call it. I was like, you guys, we ran the tournament, and after the tournament, I was like, you guys can play all you want. We actually, if you notice in the middle of the field, there's a bunch of pallets in the middle of the field, and they kind of make a circle that goes around the centerpiece. I called it the OK Corral. I was like, you guys start inside that circle and you can't exit out until somebody gets shot. Oh, it was so much fun. Basically, oh, dude, I was like, okay, basically we did it kind of like King of the Hill. I was like, winner stays. Oh, there was one kid, he's like, he was enjoying it. He's like, dude, I love this. He's like, it was quick pace and just like whacking at it. I was like, yeah, that was like my old team practices days. I was like, just fight it out. I was like, guns up, go ahead. And they enjoyed it. And like I said, we ran so many games just after the tournament because we still had so much time after the tournament. And I was like,
yeah. Well, I had to dip out early. Otherwise, I would have stayed and played more games after the fact.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I hope you do another one,
I definitely will.
Good.
Like I said, it's just, either I'm going to do the double elimination again, or I'll kind of let John take over and let him do what he wanted to do, which was, like I said, the round robin. I was like, okay. But I was like, if we do another double elimination, and I was like, we could do it like race to 3, where
you're going for 3 points.
Yeah, instead of just 2. I was like, that would kind of prolong it a little bit, and I was like, that would be fine too. I was like, I felt like that would be fair. And
I agree with you. I think that's a good solution. We are almost at an hour and a half, so we got to wrap it up.
Okay.
It's been fun, but no one listens after like an hour and a half.
I know. That's okay.
That's just one of those things. No, you're good, man. We were having good conversation. Shout out the field. Shout out anything you want to shout out real quick, and then we'll stop the recording and let it upload.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my dad, John, which literally, if it wasn't for him getting into paintball, and actually, if it wasn't for my cousins and forcing my dad to play paintball, I wouldn't be here doing it now. So shout out to my family and this dude that has been here just helping me and getting me in kind of the straight line. It's a very difficult path. But shout out to Wolverine for staying alive this long. It's on 28 years now and still kicking. So
yeah, that's a long-running paintball field.
It's a long-running paintball field, and hopefully one day my kids will be more interested in it. My son's 7 now, and he gets out there. He's getting there. He gets out here and starts the games on the hyperball field and speedball field. Now I have a microphone for him, so whenever he gets back out there, he'll be like, yes. But yeah,
give him the power.
Give him the power. But yeah.
Well, Mike and William, thank you guys for coming out. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to the Planet Paintball podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Whether you're out there grinding in the divisional pits or chasing dreams on the pro stage, remember, it's all about the passion, the hustle, and the love for the sport. Shout out to 1023 Sportswear for sponsoring the show. Don't forget to use code Planet Paintball at checkout for 20% off your order. Gear up. Save big. Until next time, keep grinding, keep growing, and we'll see you back here on the Planet Paintball podcast